Hello, welcome to the Hoopty Cast. Today we're talking about auctions, collector car auctions, which Elliot and I work for rival auctions. So we have rivaling experiences as far as, but pretty similar, I suppose.
Right.
So Rob has been to Barrett-Jackson.
I've been to a few. I haven't really done much with them. I've never bought a car on one, so always wanted to.
But have you ever bought a car on any kind of auction before, online or in person?
eBay. I would say a long time ago. So
you've done it. So that's what we're talking about, the different types of auctions and what probably to look out for, and just our personal experiences with the history, which Elliot, it was his idea since he didn't have time to prepare because he just got back from his Auburn, Indiana sale of Worldwide Auctioneers.
Yes.
And they sold a lot of heavy stuff. We talked about it a bit on April's Garage as far as like the top 5 sales of the auction. So the Ford GT prototype was number 1 for $775,000.
Yeah.
BMW 328, not like a not
your
E46 or anything.
Yeah.
A 1940 sold for about $500,000, and really, so some interesting stuff there for
Very
sure.
cool stuff. Yeah, no, I thought this would be kind of a fun subject. I mean, I know we do the research topics, Rob and I do, but we, between the two of us and Rob's, robbing, we have enough to talk about between auction stuff, and we have both life experience watching them and now being part of them, and from an entertainment perspective. I mean, like I said, why not? Why not share like a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it's like to be part of this stuff?
Sure.
And like I said, like many of you, I would say I started off like any kid. My dad got me into cars. We don't have to go into my backstory, but I mean, one of the things that was always on was Speed Channel.
We've got a lot of your backstory,
Yeah,
but
we're not going to go to that.
Some of the front story
apparently
too.
people are a little tired of hearing about his personal life, which I find fascinating. But okay, well,
Hey, if it comes up,
Only a couple.
If it comes up, it comes up. But either way, I'm just saying I grew up watching car stuff all the time on TV. And of course, when they started first televising Barrett-Jackson, I started watching, of course. And then when I was probably, I don't know, I think 13 is when I started to just get to go. And
really that young?
Yeah.
Because that's about our age difference, because I got to go about 17. So my first one was 2004. How about you as far as Barrett-Jackson?
Mine might have been still that, honestly,
Really?
just because of the age difference. Because I just remember, because I traveled with not even my dad the first time. I went with a friend's dad, and it was like, and all of us. And it was just like, it's everything I saw on TV except in real life. If you guys have ever been to Barrett-Jackson, it is quite the circus.
I was a Speed Vision growing up watching it. Begged my dad to go. 2004. And the first year I go, they had a Gullwing they're selling. So I talked about it in my video with the Gullwing, which obviously that's my big news recently. But yeah, that sold for $300,000. I couldn't find that clip in my video of 2004. You probably picked it up because you knew. Were you there for the Roadsters, the red?
The pair.
The pair in 2006 was really cool because it was a red Gullwing and a Roadster. I believe 57 and 60, 61, something like that. And original owner from new bought these 300 SLs, both in red, had them through all this time until selling them at Barrett-Jackson in 2006. And they were driven, beaten on cars. And then both of them, I think the Gullwing was $340,000, the Roadster around the same because it was nicer, but they were beaten on.
That's crazy.
And so that's my first exposure to those cars. So it just lit the fire in me to always want one.
To the reality of now.
Yeah.
Where that's so cool. Like I said, I mean, we're kind of, this is like weeks later by the time it shows, but it's a very recent thing that you've been public about now.
Right.
So it's going to be so cool to bring that car here.
Rob's first Barrett-Jackson was probably when I was working there, right?
It was, and that was a real treat. I mean, just to watch the behind the scenes to see how you do it.
Was it my first one? Was it an early one?
Second one, maybe, I think. I don't think it was your first. But it was so cool to watch, like, you see what you see on TV, and it's all polished and everything, but behind the scenes, my God, how you guys both can just be here, be there. Literally, they'll tell you on the spot to be like, talk about this car, and you have to talk about it and know it, whether you know it or not. You got to come up with something. And to watch you guys, watch you when I was there, to be able to just present like that was really awesome to see. Like, it was like, we're sitting there watching this going, wow, there's so much more to this than what I would have thought than just cars rolling up on the block. Somebody talks about it, people bid on it, bang, next car. It was really, really neat to see. It's way more intricate than I would have thought.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, you can attest to the hustle of Barrett-Jackson, which I've seen you do as well. But yeah, there's a lot going on before the camera's back on you and you're doing that. A lot of hustling.
Barrett Jackson was the real pioneer of it because they were the first to really do internet as far as a live stream, so people could check the auction and bid from home. And they were the first to do television. They started in 1971, I believe, so they had their 50th not that long ago. But Craig Jackson was definitely ahead of the curve when it came to that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And it was, very, very impressive that, gave younger people sort of access to it as far as with the internet and with everything else. So really smart in that sense. Now, of course, everybody has their own YouTube live stream of the auction because it's so easy to do. Some of them have their own shows on different channels and networks and things. Right. So there's others out there. Elliot's is a live stream that's on YouTube.
Yep. And I mean, we simulcast, but yeah, it's mostly on YouTube. And I think it's just because, and I mean, Bear Jackson's moving that way too. It's kind of like, internet's kind of where it's at right now, streaming wise.
We're still on cable.
You guys are still
We're on
on
basic
that. You guys are
cable,
still there,
History
though.
Channel, but
Hanging on.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how other channels have changed as far as like trying to find a home and where they've ended up on streaming platforms and stuff like that. We're still on TV on a solid station, but yeah, TV has just changed so much to where like people aren't really needing or wanting to watch live TV anymore. So we still have the live stream for the auction. I think outside of the U.S., the broadcast is live streamed because it's only in the U.S.
I knew that the last time I tried when I was like at work trying to watch, and you can watch just the block.
Right.
No to your commentary or anything like that. You can stream that. But to get like April will do stuff for the YouTube stream only and stuff like that. So it's interesting. And then speaking of finding your thing, I think GAA is like broadcast on like Mad TV. Like it just doesn't even make sense. Where you're like, here's a break from the comedy real quick. Here's some classic cars in Greensboro.
Right.
Like people are probably like, wait, what?
Random.
But just Barrett Jackson itself, Speed Vision, Fox Sports, Velocity that became Motor Trend, and then FYI in History. So they bounced around as well.
But you
as far as being the originals. But yeah, it's interesting to see like do you need the TV aspect anymore? Because it used to be the TV definitely sold the cars. It was a sales point where like getting on TV time in prime time was a big deal. And it still is a big deal, but it's probably not as big as it was with the internet and everything else and all the promotion that online gets more eyeballs and reach nowadays, obviously, than television. So
do you think that Bring a Trailer and Cars and Biz, have they taken away from this a little bit? On some level,
it's so different in my opinion. Like I think it's like there's people who love the show and have no interest in buying a car, and I think that there's still a lot of those people out there who really do. They will. I mean, happily, I'm going to plop on the recliner and intake this show for a long time because if you since the lack of regular programming on, it's a great way to learn something about a bunch of different cars pretty quickly.
But and like a simpleton like me, I see it as like, okay, if I'm going to bid on this car that's at Barrett Jackson or Mecum or something, it's like, I'd want to go there and I want to be there. Yeah. But for some reason, when I'm sitting there scrolling Bring a Trailer at 2 a.m., I'm starring cars that I'm like, oh, I'd pay that for that. I'd pay that for that. I don't know where the disconnect is where I if it's at one of these two, I need to go. I want to be part of the show versus this one where it's like, this is very easy and I'll just click it. And I don't even know what I'm getting. I can't see it. I can't drive it. I'm just going to buy it and hope it doesn't suck.
How often do you Uber Eat or DoorDash? Or have your groceries delivered?
Groceries, none. DoorDash is a problem in our family, so that's a big problem.
And I don't like it. I like to go to get the stuff and sit and eat in the place.
Same. My problem is when COVID hit, that's when DoorDash for everybody became a thing, obviously. We were spending maybe, when COVID hit at our height, we were spending $700 a month on DoorDash.
Jeez.
That's a DoorDash budget.
And now when I say we, it was not me. Because I was not going to do it. I would maybe buy one here and there. But I was like, she kept doing
Courtney.
Yes, but I'm going to get in trouble.
She's not here this time.
Not this time, no. No weird drive coming up. But it became so easy. But then in the back of my mind, and I still do this, I'm like, so they're making the food. They're upcharging on the food because the menu price on DoorDash is higher than the menu price when you go in there and eat. It's by $4 or $5 a plate. So they're making on top of that. Then you don't even know who's bringing you the food or what they could do to the food while they're bringing it. And I'm just like, and a lot of times I'll get a meal and I'll open it up and it's like all like it's gone through. And I'm like, I can't eat this because I'm like, this looks like somebody did something to it.
A bit of a tangent, but I'm just as a switch between online. Rob clearly prefers online and the convenience of all of that.
Very much so.
I grew up going to the auctions as a kid, and then I became a car dealer when I finished college, so I would go to the in-person auction and buy hoopties. And I was going all over the country to Mannheim and different auctions. Houston was my little honey hole to go get interesting cars out of there where they was still cheap, and I'd fill up a truck with a dozen cars and bring them home. So I got very comfortable with buying at in-person auctions, and I personally really like the atmosphere, and I like seeing the cars and just being in it. So I mean, I obviously buy a lot online as well, but I much vastly prefer being at the auction.
You've bought a lot from both. Which would you say between the two have you gotten burned more on?
Oh, the online ones.
By far.
By far.
By far.
Yeah, because I can look at the cars in person. Of course, at an auction, you can't really test drive as much, at a collector car auction, but you can tell a lot. So, like, there's one, obviously, the DeLorean that I got at Mecum, which got me in trouble. I had to take that video down.
Oh,
you did.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but basically, I talked about how, like, when you're buying a car at auction, you can't drive it, so you don't know this kind of stuff. And so I talked about it in a video, and I talked about how you also have to watch to make sure there's an actual other bidder in the room, because when it's a reserve auction, sometimes the auctioneer, and this is at dealer auctions, this is at collector car auctions that have reserves, you might be bidding up against someone that doesn't exist. And they're just trying to get you up to the seller's reserve. It's called shield bidding. And so I mentioned all this in the video, and maybe was a little too harsh about things, and got in trouble. So I did take that was one of the few videos I took down.
Though, like I said, I get that they're like maybe too personal on that particular auction, but it goes across for every auction,
right? So the shield, like the shield bidding thing, and then that DeLorean had a bad transmission, and there's no way to tell. Like the thing went into drive, it went into reverse, but. Oh, what's this? We got a DoorDash.
Oh, wow. Wait, what is this?
He made a funny meme very quickly.
That was quick with my name on it and everything.
I know. That's why I was
Jake, impressive work.
For you audio listeners, Jake whipped together.
Boy, shitting on me, you are right on it. Like there's
budget for the month.
I'm really impressed with this.
Yeah. I will say to bring back the DoorDash thing, and I do want to hear more about yours, because there's a few things that you can talk about that are like insider secrets, but I know you like going to the restaurant, and I do too, but I feel much more comfortable ordering something like food where I'm like, I know generally what this is going to look like. Not a lot of moving parts here. If it's not as good as it looks in the picture, I'm ready for that. I can't buy something over, let's say, $10,000 without being like, all right, I kind of want to look at it first. Like, I can't just be like, it looks pretty good, because that's its job on a listing. It's like they present it well.
I guess nothing in your fleet was sight unseen except maybe the Cartrack Maserati, right?
Yes.
So
I think that was the only thing that I bought that I hadn't seen yet.
And he burned you pretty good on that.
Well, you had sent it to me like saying it's rough, but it's, it is, but you did say it, but it is a Maserati for this price, and it just is what it is. I'm like, it'll be fun, and yeah, was it rougher than even rough?
That wasn't an auction, though.
No, it wasn't an auction. And like I said, that was a personal thing. But like I said, that was just an opportunity. But yeah, if I had bought that, if you had made like beauty shots of that and like somehow shown the interior in a positive light, which I don't know if you could have, you would have been like, what a screaming deal. Yeah, Rob would have been.
Oh, I'd have been all over.
There would have been the Venus flytrap for Rob. And that thing was on Facebook Marketplace.
I'd have lowballed on that.
Oh, for
in a
sure.
heartbeat. Now, that built your channel, though, didn't it, a little bit?
It helped a lot. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, ironically, not as much as the Volvo, but.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I guess my worst one is bring a trailer and the Superbird.
The Superbird.
Oh, yeah.
Which is sight unseen, paying $130,000 for a car.
Oh, my God. The
and
shocks.
for it to show up a complete and total disaster, so misrepresented. The car never worked. It was a custom that was, a show car for SEMA, and is never functional.
And it got pushed in and out of SEMA.
Yeah, literally. That was not going down a road.
Yeah.
That was so painful. And then that guy just full buried his head in the sand and didn't want to say a word about it. So that, as far as an expensive car and all that stuff, and I fixed it and made it out okay. I made it drivable and then sold it at Barrett Jackson for everybody to inspect. And the guy who bought it actually flipped it at another collector car auction along with like a dozen other Superbirds for 20 or 30 grand more. So he did fine. I'm not sure where it is now, but it was one of the few real deal Hemi Superbirds.
And you lucked out on this one that it really was the real deal Hemi Superbird. Like if that also had come to be not true, it would have been a complete.
Oh God!
If it was like a band swap or something like that, but they were able to find all the hidden die lots and all that stuff. That's the other thing about Barrett Jackson. It's nice the experts are there to really vet the cars. So they from legal cover the butt standpoint, anything that's on the car card, especially especially with a muscle car where there's a lot of variations and claiming something has this, they'll check and verify and make sure. So they'll hire experts like Dave Weiss, who does Weiss Report for Mopars, to come out and check to make sure that these cars are good.
Yeah, they're legally liable for it if they describe it as such, and it turns out it's not.
Good.
I believe for every auction is.
One thing I noticed recently, like he was going through, Dennis Collins had a General Lee replica, and it was a mutt of different years of Chargers and all that stuff. And he's like, I'm finding 69 here and 70 here and all that stuff, and he's sort of picking it apart. And Dennis doesn't care because it's just a General Lee replica. We're not going for anything, crazy. So, but it was nice that they were going through and finding like, hey, this is kind of, hodgepodge together. I didn't think it affected the sale at all because it's just like a driver General Lee. But on a, blue chip muscle car like that, it's very important. And with the online ones, there's just the vetting section is the comment section, which can be entertaining, but also can be just the painful to read as well.
The people at Bring a Trailer specifically
they're bad.
are notorious for, well, send me a picture of the underside of the inside of this impossible to get to thing. They're not even going to bid on the car. They just wanted to flex that I know what should be there. And yours doesn't have it, so it's actually crappy. And they hurt sales like all the time.
You haven't sold on any.
I haven't sold. No, I've sold on cars and bids, but it was like you're in a car, so nobody. I know.
Oh, I forgot about your one sale.
6
on cars
months
and
too
bids.
soon.
So Elliot had
money.
a Challenger Hellcat that he babied.
Yeah, that thing was
I bought
beautiful.
it brand new. It's my first brand new car.
Beautiful.
Still only probably a brand new car.
And you saved it for the next guy, as far
pretty
as
much. Might as
so
well
the miles was
It's like
low.
11,000.
Oh my God.
God, what did you get for it?
Like 42.
What's it
or
worth
something
now?
Like that. Within 6 months, it was worth way more than I paid for it.
Yep.
I mean, it was 6 months, and it was like they just kept going down. I'm like, well, if I don't sell it now, I'm gonna be.
They were depreciating like crazy, and I was the one telling them like, sell it, get rid of it.
He was like, I'm gonna be holding the bag on this. And next thing you know, I mean, I'm serious. I think it was 6 months, and I was like, a car with higher mileage and like not as like uniquely optioned as mine sold for so much more, and I was like,
Oh God.
I know. And now I am the old man saying, like, whenever I see one, yeah, Jake took the pictures for me. They're
Look
beautiful.
at that.
But every time I say, like, I had one of those, and everyone, it's gonna be sure, Grandpa.
But at least
I bet you did.
at least you took the chance.
Yes.
And you didn't sell it short, like I did recently
Yeah.
on the Eldorado.
The Eldorado.
So
that's another online auction thing. Do we have the result for that? I know
well,
we're making Jake.
who'd have thunk? Because
No.
it sells for in the teens at 2 collector car auctions at Amecum at Barrett Jackson in 2008 and 2015 or whatever, and then I buy it, and I bought it for teens. So it's so documented all over the internet that it's sold for teens three times.
That's what it's worth.
I sold it for teens again, thinking that's all it's ever going to bring. It doesn't have a title. It's a concept car, and it brings $50,000.
55, I think.
within weeks, right? It was,
Yeah, it was
so quick.
quick.
It
Yeah.
was so quick.
But now, do we know if that did it actually complete the transaction? Do we know, or did it?
I think
That
it's
we don't know.
hard to
We don't know.
It did.
It did.
It
Yes,
says
I know the guy.
sold, but that was just brutal. Because I also would have said that's safe because I mean, even more so than the pace car, it's one of those things where you go, well, yeah, but it's neat,
55.
but you can't drive it or you can't really. It's kind of you'd have to want a piece of Cadillac art in your garage. And apparently somebody wanted it way more than
2 people. And that's the thing with
that's
auctions.
true.
It only takes 2 people to really want something to just kill it.
We had that.
I mean, in a good
we had
way.
one recently. Like it was like a car. I definitely didn't look over and we ended up setting a world record for it because it was like an REO truck, stake bed truck. It was nice, but I want to say the estimate on it was 35 grand. And it was like, because you really got to know the brand, it's such an obscure thing. And I think we sold it for 150.
Oh my
It was
God.
like, I just remember looking up being like, cause it was in my tune out section of like, I don't care about this lot particularly. It is a nice truck, but wasn't one I was going to pay attention to. And then I kept hearing this number. I was like, what? And I had to look up at the board and you're like, but that's the thrill of the auction as well.
So you said tune out lot. So is that a term for like you guys?
No,
you guys
I
have
made
like
that
okay,
up,
that's your
kind
realm.
of a thing. I
So
mean,
there's a group of cars that you're not that interested in that
Sometimes sometimes that's where the deals are.
Okay.
Yeah. Like okay, so with Bear Jackson, it's a longer deal, especially like January. There's a Tuesday morning car.
All right.
That I would say you're like it's just one of those, yes, it's gonna be a deal, but it's like there's a big difference between a Tuesday morning car.
those are my cars. That's what I shop.
Yeah, but I mean
Tuesday.
especially with Bear Jackson, you guys have like thousands of lots. I mean, I'm not trying to be disparaging. It could be a 96 Accord.
Right.
And
Well,
it would just be like a car.
that's when Euro Asian Bob comes down to Barrett Jackson and picks up some really cool
He
stuff,
really
like that
does.
Alfa Romeo. What was it?
He had the Fiat.
Was it a Fiat?
He had the little Fiat 500, the old. Didn't he get that from there?
Yeah, he did. But I'm talking about the Alfa Romeo,
Oh.
the weird thing that didn't sell in the U.S.
Yeah. I didn't know he got
the
that from
V6 one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, okay, I know what
I
you're
know what you're talking about. I didn't know he got it from
And
Barrett
a
Jackson.
C4 Corvette in purple with a stick, and yeah,
No, there's some deals, and I've watched deals. Same thing when they used to do Sunday, like back when I was young, just going.
still do Sunday.
Oh, they still do Sunday.
Yeah.
I just remember it was like there's something that was like for no reason other than luck of the draw of, and this is a big thing is you could have a really nice car and it could get put on Sunday morning or something, and everybody's gone from Saturday or hungover from Saturday night, and it was like a '57 Bel Air Fuelie or something like that, and I want to say it went for $5 or $7 grand. It was
Okay,
like,
so we've kind of been all
Yeah,
over
I
the
know,
place.
sorry,
all
yeah.
over. It's been very disorganized here. But go back. So let's talk about Worldwide.
yes.
Let's talk about your history with it and Worldwide itself, and what you think. How do you think this auction went as far as compared to others? How did it feel?
Well, we'll start with just this auction, and then I can go back to the history that I have with them is fairly interesting. This auction went well. This is our big one. So now we do 2 to 3 a year. I think we're at solid 2 right now, but of the 2, they centered around ACD Fest week in Auburn, Indiana. And if you don't know, it stands for Auburn Cord Duesenberg Fest, which are all makes that they don't make anymore. But back in the day, if you were to say the 1930s Holy Trinity, it would have been a Duesenberg Model J, an Auburn Boat Tail Speedster, and a supercharged Cord 812. Those were pretty much 3 of the fastest, most expensive, most luxurious cars on the planet, and they were all made in that area. So once a year, everybody that has one of these, they basically come to town for this.
Yeah. So there's a coffin nose
Yes,
cord
there's
there.
a coffin nose cord with my dad. So that would have been a supercharged 812. So like this would have been, I don't know what to even equate it to, but a very sporty car in its day.
First production front wheel drive, all that stuff. Yeah, very
A
cool
lot of
things.
cool stuff. First pop-up headlights, even though you wind them. And it has the pre-selector transmission, which I just think is the neatest thing in the
Baby
world.
transmission.
Yeah,
It's very
it
cute.
has a little H pattern. I'm not kidding. You like thumb and index finger it.
Vacuum controlled. It shifts.
You're kidding.
but
Yeah,
it's
if
just-
Jake zooms in here, it did include this picture because see,
where is
it's got this little baby H pattern
look at
over here.
that.
And what you do is like when you start out in first, and that's like normal, and then you push the lever to second without pushing the clutch in. And you push the clutch in, and the car will select second, and you can just
That's
let it back
cool.
out. So you pre-select whatever gear you want next, and then you push the clutch in, and it magically does
when
it
it works.
when it works.
Which probably not very much.
Yeah, versus having
Yeah.
to manhandle
Yeah,
like
grind
a
it
gear
in.
shifter. This
Well,
was very. Yeah.
I've never driven a 3 on the tree yet, still in my life, which is, I'd love to experience that, to see.
No, but yeah. So what I'm saying is that I could get distracted talking about these all day. But
Right.
So the big auction is they have a lot of people coming in from out of town for this because if you have an Auburn Cord or Duesenberg, the NCRS or judgment or like basically the way to increase the value or correctness of one of those cars is to have it judged at this event. This is like the one.
And there's still a pretty big following for these cars, and they're not all dinosaurs. I mean, they're not. It's not dying out. That's the thing as far as like Model A guys, where it all died out.
gone.
Yep.
Like they're all gone. When we were kids, there were big Model A events and things like this. This is still
that's
going strong.
Yeah, that's a Packard, but it's the same era. It's fine. It looks good enough. The point is, it's wild that like it also goes to show, these cars were born special. And like I said, I don't think a Duesenberg's been under $1 million in a long time.
Right.
Like in pretty much any shape. It's pretty wild. And then you see them just driving around. Like these are cars, again, I know that I'm not like a lot of pre-war guys out there, or younger folks, but if you know even a little bit of the significance of it, you're like, if you've ever seen a Duesenberg, it's been in a museum and sitting. To watch one like being on the street, you're like, oh. And then you see like 3 more. You're like, you're lucky if you see like one of these in your lifetime. It's just a very
So what
surreal
would be your
event.
ultimate end all? Would it be
There's
a
a
doozy?
Duesenberg. Yeah, that's a supercharged J right there.
Would that be the one?
That would be probably one of them, especially because that's like looks like a dual Cal Phaeton supercharged. I think I'd want a Roadster supercharged, but either any Model J I could get myself into would
So
just be
that, I mean, obviously that's the most expensive ones versus like an Auburn Boattail Speedster.
right. I do think the Auburn
yeah.
Boattail Speedster looks cooler.
Yeah.
Like a supercharged Auburn Boattail Speedster is like really up there. But it's just something about the Duesenberg
And the tech and the chords.
beautiful.
Really neat.
Right.
So that's the basis of the auction.
Yes.
This event, which has been a big deal for a long time.
Right.
But how did you get thrown into Worldwide?
Well, believe it or not, it was one of, and this is a really weird way of doing it, but so it was one of the car weeks when we were all there. I think it was the year when you had the Countach there
In Monterey.
in Monterey.
Okay.
Me and Colin were going around.
Okay. My friend Colin.
Colin.
Yeah.
Me and him were going around to different things, and we didn't have the wherewithal to just get a media pass to go to Arnhem. And we'd spent an elaborate amount of time trying to just get into the Arnhem at Monterey. And we eventually found our way past to some stuff, basically snuck in. And I was making a video the whole time, and I was just kind of like, we were in the upstairs part, and we were trying to be not, non. And I was going to be like, oh my God, there's a 722, SLR. There's one of these. Look at this. This is a Jaguar D-Type. I was just losing it at all the stuff that was there. But just going around casually, pointing out, being like, oh my gosh, there's one of these. There's one of those. And somehow, somewhere at Worldwide, somebody saw that. And it was not a very high view video. Still is.
Just you going crazy at the auction.
Just me going, there's one of these. Oh my gosh. Do you know what this is? And, like blah, blah. And then they got a cold email that said, hey, I saw your video about, the Monterey car thing. And I was like, I figured it was going to be, don't ever do that again. I've worked for, whatever. I was ready for the rest of that. Mm-hmm. And it was very confusing. He just was like, is there any way you'd want to come do that for us? And I was like, what do you mean? You want me to sneak into your auction and then do whispery commentary?
Was the follow-up question, what underwear were you wearing?
I know. It really could have gone that direction. Either way, it was a very weird email that I was like, I'm just so curious as to what you mean, because it's literally, I'm pretty sure the video title was sneaking in to this auction or whatever. I was like, well, it's not really gonna, I think I replied back to him. I was like, I'm unsure what you're wanting. It's really not gonna have the same effect if I'm invited. If half the video was sneaking. I was like, do you want me to pretend sneak into an auction that you're fully wanting me out there for? And basically he was just like, I don't know, but you seem to know about pre-war cars and can, talk, like, can you just come out and do a few videos during our auction? And I was like, I don't still understand what you're getting out of this, but sure. And it evolved from there. I get there a few weeks beforehand, and I've been now in contact with them. And he said, wait, one of the guys that does our on-air commentary can't do it. Can you do it? And I just very blankly said, I was like, well, I've never done it before, but I'm sure I could try. And they were like, okay, well, you're our guy then. And I was like,
wow.
Okay.
It's like the only warm body.
No, I literally was like,
him.
Okay. And then I was like, I got there and I still have no context of what I'm supposed to be doing. I know no one. And the one guy I'm there, like that handles me or goes on to be my producer, is kind of just like, yeah, hey, go over there and do this and just go. And I'm like, no direction of like, what do you want me to do? And he's just like, just do a little, I got nothing. He was like, do a little promo.
Thrown in the fire.
Well, the thing about it is he's been able to create what he wants with this live stream, which includes driving the cars up on the block.
Now I have, but I'm talking this. I think this was my first one where I'm still just like kind of figuring out what to do commentary wise. We weren't doing the driving thing yet, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing a good job. I don't know what they want. Like I'm literally doing it for somebody else, and they're not giving me any sort of framework of what it is. So I'm like, I hope this is going well. I brought my dad with me. I'm like, yeah. So,
to give you a huge compliment though, they didn't know what they had at that point because you literally are the human car encyclopedia.
Yes.
For the old stuff.
For the old stuff.
For the old stuff.
Yes. As far as someone that doesn't look 90, he is very gray.
I do look older than the rest of you.
Could you imagine them just sitting there going, wait, we have a young guy that knows old cars? They want that.
Yeah, he literally goes, you're like under 60 and you know stuff about pre-war stuff. He's like, it's great. I was like, well, surely needs to be more than that. And they've gone on to now, if you fast forward, I get to go in there and there's nobody telling me. I go in there and pick out this, and this. I want to do a video on them. And they go, great, go for it. And maybe every once in a while they'll be like, could you do one on that? I'm like, sure, we'll do that. But at the time, I was just shitting my proverbial britches during this entire time.
So you have more responsibility than Tyler does? Maybe?
No. Tyler has to be up there. He's walking around on stage with no break for 10 hours a day.
It's different. It's very I feel like there's a lot more creativity that he gets to do. I came into a very well-oiled machine, and I put my little spin on it, my own ways and all that stuff. But obviously, what's successful there with the formula, I just have sort of molded myself into it.
What was there was one thing you did. I can't remember what the comment was that didn't it get cut
Yes, his
Early on.
iDrive comment.
Oh, well,
yes.
so at least, Elliot's live stream where he said he traded beauty for brains.
I do
he had
have a picture of that too. Which makes sense if Jake would show my co-host.
Does not.
There's
no context where this
And
works.
I made fun of Mike Joy a little too much for getting way too into the iDrive knob and reaching down and grabbing your knob and playing with it, and something happens. And I was giggling like a seventh grader with it on national television with a broadcast veteran.
There's Tyler and April with I got it because it has talent on the front of their little golf cart.
But no, I mean Elliot's. So you're on TV for a long time, so you definitely have your moments.
Oh yeah.
But. Yeah,
he's got the big time thing. Like, I mean, he's got mission control. You've taken me in the semi where there literally is a command center
I can
of people.
imagine.
I'm sitting in my own command center with these people. There's a team of 10 of them, but it's nothing like what he's got. And it's like I'm there when I'm not on camera doing commentary, where it's like you can't see. There's a bunch of monitors and stuff over here, and I'm kind of doing commentary. And then, like I said, after this is the last one where I don't think we weren't driving cars. Where I pitched the idea and I was like, what if?
You only wear the boomer vest at this auction.
That's
to
true.
blend
I've
in.
never seen him wear
only
this.
at the enthusiast auction. I know. It's like they give you one, and it's like the perfect weather.
But
for
you
it.
never wear it in any. Oh, except when you're meeting the Golden Bachelor. I think in that photo you're wearing a boomer vest because you wanted to blend in with them.
I was wearing a button up, but I don't think I was wearing the
You take it
vest.
off?
No, I don't know. Something about being there. I'm like, this is the total vest area.
So he's been able to basically create this atmosphere, this live stream, the vibe and all that stuff. It's really cool that you've been able to do this for them. And yeah, obviously very lucky in the fact that somebody saw that video and sent you an email. It's similar with mine, where I got very lucky that I got a cold email from my YouTube channel from a guy that's trying to make TV shows. And my TV show gets picked up for the History Channel, Car Issues, and History Channel knows me from that and comes to me for Barrett Jackson when it moves networks. So it's all very lucky that I got an email cold for the show. The show gets picked up by History, and then History happens to get Barrett Jackson, and I'm their car guy. Yep. So I just very lucky in that sense as well. But yeah, I mean,
no, it's wild what things can do. And I think if anybody is out there like a YouTuber and stuff like that, maybe, I mean, it depends on what your aspirations are, but sometimes your YouTube videos are an unintentional audition tape. You don't even know it.
You don't know who's watching. And like I didn't know that Jay Leno watched my Goldwing video, and he called me up and said, "Hey, and this guy doesn't call me up very often. He just called me up and said, "Hey, I watched your video. I saw the whole 40 minutes. I watched it, and it was amazing."
What a surreal moment!
Let's preface that a little bit because how did that go down? Like, does the phone just buzz and say Jay Leno?
It says unknown.
So you answered it.
I answered it.
So
yeah.
you didn't think it was someone like trying to collect money?
No. I usually like the unknown numbers. I know are usually people that don't want their numbers out. So and usually it's something entertaining. Sometimes it's a weirdo trying to get to me. But I don't know, for whatever reason I just answered it. So that was a very nice surprise. So you never know who's watching your videos. You may only be getting 500 or 1,000 views, but there could be an opportunity there.
Yeah, that was a while
Look
back.
at that. Look at this picture.
That was a few years ago.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah, because the other thing, first time I met, speaking of that, it's so funny because Tyler had already filled in April about several embarrassing things about me before I'd ever met her.
Oh, right.
And I love this so much because I had watched April on TV before I'd met her. So this is my first time. He's like, well, come over here, you got to meet April. And I'm like, hey, it's nice to meet you. And I think the first thing she said to me is like, is this the guy who did that's nice to meet you, or something along those lines. And I'm like, oh, dude, like,
I think the first time meeting her. The first time I met her, in my mind, I'm like, oh God, the stories. I know there have to be some. There's going to be. You're just nervous because you know nothing lights Tyler up more than a chance to shine.
A good under the bus throw.
Oh man, just back it over you.
Get him,
it's a very your backstory in your personal life is very interesting, and I've held back for very many months on telling stories.
It is the only one I've ever seen like it. There's none like it.
Thanks, guys.
Anyway,
we'll keep them guessing. Either way,
back to worldwide. So it's been 4 years now,
4 or 5. It's kind of blends together. But yes, it went from me quaking in my boots during. I don't even know what they want from me. It's this. Is this what you want? And I really didn't think it went that well. To the next thing is they were like, "Do you want to do this again?" And it started getting a little bit more, and to where now I have like very much creative freedom of.
And you go on the rallies, which they do. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say next. The next time they had me out, they didn't just have me out for the actual auction. So the other one they do in April is what they call their enthusiast auction. And before that, they have what's called the enthusiast tour. And this is where it's super surreal for me. So I was like, well, no, I don't really know what that is. But I checked it on the website. I was like, I mean, that looks awesome, but like, I don't know. Like, I might just be like in my rental Corolla with you guys. And they're like, no, we'll give you something to drive. And I'm like, okay, what does that entail? Like, it was such a, thing. And I was like, okay. And I get there and they were like, they kind of just looked around. I was like, well, what do you think you want from like this area? And I ended up in like a lime green 1968 Porsche 912, which I know is like, it's not nuts, but there's not cheap cars.
Great for me.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-gauge car. So those were, that's the more desirable ones and stuff. And I was like, still going, I was like, okay, so how long? And they're like, no, you have this for the tour. And I'm like, is it for pictures? They're like, no, you drive this the whole time.
What's the story with the Celica?
So that was another one that was selling. It's like a liftback Celica from like 80.
Yeah, my mom had one of those, a silver
85. I know, it's another like one of those. You have to be a real. See, you got your eye for it. It's like a car enthusiast thing, and that was like they sent one of the like not interns, but the equivalent of that. Like kind of they put some camera equipment in that, and it was still a cool car, so they had it along. But it was like this was only I still barely know anybody at the company, and I'm like, they're like, who is this guy? Why is he doing this stuff? But I'm like, I'm just doing what I told, and I just literally had an experience. And the next year they're like, okay, what do you want to drive? And it stopped being like choice. And I was like, is that available? And they're like, well, make it available. And I was like, every time it's crazy. So I think, the following year I had a Ferrari California just because I was like, it'll have AC and stuff. And, it'll be a chance to put some real miles on one of those. And it's crazy. So we get to go to all these cool events, private collections, different experiences, and then it all wraps up into the first day of the auction. And like, the expectation of me is to like, there's me in the California, is to do kind of like on air stuff. Like we go to this event. All right, Elliot, what are we doing here? And all I have to do is be like, hey, we're here at this, you name it, collection. They specialize in this, this, and this, and they'll cut to some B-roll. And I basically just do like a little like preview of what we're doing. It's not hard for what
just sort of as you're going down the rally, and hopefully encourage people to join at a future one because like, hey, look how much they're fun. How much fun they're having. I'll go to the next one.
Exactly. So that's what I'm kind of doing. Yeah, it's just like I said, I'm kind of selling it, and but it's also real because I'm legitimately doing it. They're not just having me out for that. I'm like, I am happy, stoked to be here. Like I'm telling you, it is a great event. And like I said, things just kept kind of, like I said, snowballing from there. The first auction I ever did, I didn't have my co-host either. But then the second one, this first enthusiast tour, I had my co-host who is a local radio phenomenon there, Kayla. And she's very famous. Yes, there's she and I in front of our Ford GT, not the one that I stalled out. Good. For the record. But yeah, so then I got to kind of know her and I was like, well, what's her deal? And she's just a professional broadcaster. Now, and this because you've seen the unfortunate things I've said to her on the air. I love her to death, but she'll be the first to admit to you, she doesn't know about cars, but it doesn't matter. She's such a professional and such a good host that we have this great dynamic of she can set something up in a way that like, you're like, oh, I'm paying attention now. And then I just get to like nerd out on some details in an entertaining way.
I feel like from a viewer watching, and a man watching, which is most of the audience, they get to watch you mansplain to your co-host, a blonde co-host, for hours, which is something they just dream of doing themselves.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I'm just going to, I'll watch Elliot mansplain for 5 hours while this auction goes on.
You know what? I wish I could say that I could defend that. That's literally what it is. Yep. I mean, and essentially she leans into it. She's perfectly happy with it. She'll go, what is this? What are we in? And she brings her little sheet. And I will literally say it like in this one, I was like, it's a 1954 Corvette. Look at the taillights. And she'll go, oh, those are pretty. And I'm like, say something like that. And she's such a professional that she'll go and she's like, all right, Elliot, we're in this thing. I mean, and it's like that conversation never happened. And then I get to nerd out about,
well, Kayla, let me tell you about 1954 and all the things.
Yeah,
and all,
and like I said, I will say I do get to play around with her because she had this thing early on.
The meme where the guy's grabbing the girl by the neck, right? And that whole
and
thing. That is Elliot's live stream.
That's what the demographic wants.
Like I swear to God,
they want her to just stay in her lane.
They want her to go. I like what this we're doing one. I noticed this one's red, and you're like, not only is it red,
what is wrong with
no, that? She's so much better.
No,
she's so much better than that.
Anybody out there that actually, why would you want that?
No,
it's really not cut out for an auction early, and then a guy traded places that is not an attractive.
Well, here it comes.
And so then,
load it up.
For his age, I'm a judge of man, but compared to attractive blonde versus a older man, and Elliot decided to say, I traded beauty for brains when the transition happened when she had to leave early. There's the meme. That is Elliot's live stream right
for
there.
Like 8 to 10 hours a day during auction time. No, okay. So in Tyler's defense, I got back from that, and Tyler and April both confirmed me. They were like aghast that I can't believe what you said. And I have like, when you're on for that long, as you know, you're like, I blacked out when I said 3 hours ago. I have no idea. No, I mean, I know I didn't say anything horrible, but like, I don't remember saying anything show-stoppingly bad.
If I have a bad moment,
I remember that.
That I just replay in my head, and it's the Star Spangled Banner all night, and I can't sleep if I screw up like that.
So that is what it is. If I mess up, I will. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, and I will ruminate on that. I didn't perceive what I had said as a screw up. In my mind, I was like, I need to address this jarring visual difference between what people have been looking at all day and when they cut back to me. And I was like,
yeah, you
just making it up. And I said, you might have noticed that I've exceeded, because this is what people were looking at all day. And then they put up, and I do have this, it's unlabeled, but there's a picture of the moment when I said it, of like a different view of him. And it's like, all of a sudden now there's a bald guy in his 60s in the car with me. I was like, I gotta say something.
You said it all right.
And yes. And so I said, you might have noticed I've exchanged it. This is the moment.
Yep.
Because I remember this is like, they made it some like 2001 Yenko Corvette. And I was like, no, but whatever, you know, it had some value. And I was like, I need to address this. Why is the pretty blonde girl not in the car with me anymore? And I chose that. And yeah, Tyler and April were like, I can't believe you said that. And I was like, was it that bad? And then I remember going back to her. I was like, you know, I said that to her. And she goes, ha, that's great. And I was like, oh, good. She doesn't mind
But
at all.
you see the look he has right now. That's the look we all know. Where he's got one loaded in the chamber, and it's just gonna fire, and you just don't know if you introduce somebody and he's got that one, you're like, oh, here we go.
No, but anyway.
Well, I remember Mike Joy did it to April one time.
Oh,
where it was a Dodge Dart Swinger that April was going to do a hit on, and Mike was up in the booth, and Mike said, "Well, we're going to go out to April to somewhere I never thought I'd find her with a swinger."
Oh, that's way better.
Joy.
Like, I mean, it was funny, but it's
wow, Boomer dropping bombs.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That's way better than like, speaking of swingers, like
swimmers. That's something else.
No, because we also have a running joke, Kayla and I, because she said something, she doesn't know. She literally was like, what's the pretty one with all the wood on the side? And I said, I was like, oh, it's a something woody. And she's like, oh, I love woodies. And I was like, and I was like, just
see, I just laughed. I was just because that's even what a child I am.
We have a little bit more, you know, because we're not probably protected by the FCC. I suppose like you are. But anyway, so yeah, I was like, that's funny because I can say, I was like, well, Kayla, I know you love woodies. And say, you know, it's fun. You have a little bit of, as long as everybody's above board, you know, we get a little.
I don't know that I'd still say it.
It's risky.
Keep my mouth shut.
But anyway, so it's been 4 or 5 years. So the most recent Auburn auction, how would you feel that it went? I watched some of the live stream.
I think it went well. We had some last minute curveballs, including Kayla not being able to do the show. Not a big deal anymore now that I've gotten, you know, so used to it and everyone there and like the team and everything.
So you just mansplain right to the camera now. Instead
Might
of
as well. I could have just skipped it.
She's just not needed at all.
No, I just looked right at the camera and I was like, I know you idiots don't know what this is, so let me tell you.
I love how he just gave her all the compliments and then just was like, well, you know what? She wasn't even there and I didn't even need her.
No, I'm telling you that I very much wanted her there. But I knew that because we have a great thing, and I think even the audience is like, I love the way you guys play off of each other kind of a thing. And it's like, we really do have a great like on-screen banter.
You do. You have good chemistry.
Yeah. So I was like, I legitimately did like miss her presence there because there's just something about the way it flows. But I was like, it'll be fine. So, I think it was. I did the difference between this one and previous ones, as you know from Bear Jackson, when you do some pre-filming stuff, is I've been lucky enough now to go down there before an auction to do any of the cars they really want to highlight, or pretty much cars that I want to highlight, to do like some kind of, hey, check this out. We have one of these. I can drive it. We do, car to car, we make this whole like video on it, and then basically to go, come on out and check it out. And usually I can film all of those, and that's all I'm doing for like 5 days or something when I'm out there. This time, just the way that the cars arrive, and another difference between us and several other auctions is we do have this huge facility that we own. So it's like a 200,000 square foot building that you can, like, if you're going to consign a car to one of our auctions, you don't have to wait until like week of and send it down there. You can send your car down there like months ahead of time if you want to.
Did they use it for anything else, like during off season or whatever?
They will use it for like a wedding venue, meeting venue, party venue. but there's so much space that like all you do, like you just pretty much move a few cars and whatever. It's only until like auction time is when it gets so packed with cars that you can't really use it for anything else. But yeah, they do a lot of weddings there, and they have like different themed rooms. It's really cool. I think I sent Jake another one. They have this one called the ballroom that I think is like the prettiest setting. And now if I ever got remarried, I'd want to do it there amongst cars. I'd want it to have all the cars
with
there.
Kayla.
With Kayla, yeah. She's happily married, but you know,
well.
I mean, if you know,
Well, I mean,
yeah. So there's some of the ballroom, but it's amazing. The difference is, so this time they didn't have the cars there ahead enough to make it worth me coming out. So instead of that, they had me come out a week before the auction, and all I was doing all day, every day was pre-filming and doing shorts and doing stuff. So I was shooting for like 8 hours a day, every day leading up to the auction. So this time, the only difference was it was Thursday. Normally I'm like, Thursday, let's go. I've got a ton of energy. I'm like, I'm so tired from doing this all day, every day, and we haven't even started the auction yet. And then it was go time with, no normal co-host.
They also have like a house, like a chateau, right? Or an old house.
They have like a corporate property, yes. And yeah, some people stay in it during this week because so many people come in from out of town. But yeah, the last time I came down, I got to stay at the corporate house, and Auburn's an old town. And I think this house was built in like 1870 something. This is not too far off from your situation. But yeah, they still have like bathrooms in it with like just a bath. And like the first time I was like looking around in there, I was like, yikes, am I like gonna be bathing this week? I don't know what it's nice, but they definitely like it has not been like renovated.
Yeah, not updated.
Luckily they had a shower, but anyway. No, I this one was different because like I said, I went pre-filmed and then just went straight into the auction. But it went really well, I think. I mean, as far as I didn't really make any terrible screw ups. There was one that I unfortunately did, but of course it's Saturday midway through the day after I'm mostly the one talking the entire time, as you kind of know. And I swear, and this is again, because the mistakes that bite you, I swear with everything on my life, I didn't say it. But I'd already done maybe 4 or 5 videos about the GT3 RS, one of the top selling ones. And I swear somebody in the comments comes in there after I did it, and they were like, get this guy out of here. He doesn't know anything about cars. How dare he say this car has a V6, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
Da, da, da. And I literally I was like, I would never. I know damn well that car doesn't have a V6.
Yeah, it's a 2024 GT3 RS that sold for $400,000, which is way over sticker for a 20. These Porsches are still crazy over
nuts.
sticker. But it was yellow. It had all the packages.
Yeah, and I swear I was like, no way. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, I kind of want, you can't ever reason with somebody because it's such a unique position that we're in to be talking about car after car after car after car for so many hours a day. You are bound to make somewhat of a flub some point. You're going to call a 327 a 396. You're going to call something else when it's close, and it's not. And I guess I just was so excited to say naturally aspirated 6-cylinder that I think I said naturally aspirated 6 or V6. I don't know. Somebody played it back, and I was like, I actually did say that.
Oh.
So it's been eating me alive because now I'm like, I know I've known that I know very well these don't have V6s. I can't believe I said that.
You don't do it all the time. It was all
right. So it was just one of those things that you do remember the absolute flubs. For sure.
How about the auction itself, as far as the sales, as far as what didn't sell, what did, could you pick any kind of like themes from the auction? Because I have my own take on it that I think is kind of going through.
Being there, it was, it's interesting that the room is a lot. Is very full, especially Friday or Saturday. We had a very exciting, and I wish we had more time to pump it out, but we had a very exciting last minute, like 26 car, no reserve lot from an estate. And it had some really cool stuff in it. Like it had a 69 396 Camaro SS RS, perfect. It had a 2010 GT3 with 2,500 miles on it. It had, I forgot what it had so many, like it had a few other things like a perfect fly yellow 308 Ferrari. Just a few things that were like, all of a sudden, just imagine going, oh yeah, now we have these and they're no reserve, but you only have 2 days to tell anybody about it. And we had some really exciting stuff come from that. I thought that went really well. Obviously, the bummer was the 300 SL because it was the cover car. It was the one on, I would say, most of the publication. It was, on the cover of the catalog. It was on the rotating platform. It really was a beautiful car. And I would say that there was a lot of buzz around it. But you also know, and you can imagine, Rob, that just because people are around it and taking pictures of it, those aren't the people bidding on it.
No.
There can be a lot of excitement around a car.
Right. So it was a 55.
Yeah.
It was originally a silver blue car, but
Correct.
it got color changed to black on green, which was very odd, but it was
Very odd.
very well done.
Yes.
Numbers matching.
The car was, like I said, immaculate.
Not a knockoff wheel car.
No. But like I said, it was immaculate. I got in it, and so I could confirm, like it was really nice. I was all around it other than driving it. And trust me, I would have driven it if it weren't on that darn rotating platform, but I knew it would be. So that was, I think if that had sold, it would have made everything, the thing. But that being said, we still had some really great stuff sell for overestimate and stuff like that. We had the GT500 that, like I said, I thought it was a nice car, but I didn't even think, oh, this is going to be, what it ended up going for. We had that. We had the 04 Ford GT prototype, which I think ended up being the highest sell-through car at 775. And then that one was really special for me because, first of all, I love the cars, but I got to drive that one, like really drive it. And again, not to totally change subjects, but that's one of the other crazy things about this is there's a lot of liability when it comes to an auction. And it's wild that they let me move these cars at all.
Especially if they don't really know you. If they really knew you, then
Boy,
No.
give me those keys. No chance.
No, they trust me enough. And even the guy who I love him, his name's Stu. He's the guy who looks like Sam Elliott. And I would say he's in charge of the cars there. And he will give me a hand-crushing handshake as if to say, don't mess anything up. Like the first thing I do when I get there. And
I hate that.
he's in charge of putting everything where it is. And I'm like, oh, but I got to move it because we got to do a video with it. And you can see him glaring at me
Daggers.
when I do anything. And I'm like, Stu's going to hate this. He hates this. And like, he'll yell. But then my camera guy literally will tell me, he's like, screw him. I've got a job to do too. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
It's just, anyway.
Well, here's my take of what I watched on the live stream.
Yeah, tell me.
And I think it's the same as all the auctions that we've seen recently in recent years with the, the economy being so weird. You just don't know. But buyers, the money's in the room, the money's still there. People are just picky.
Yes.
And it used to, in the post-COVID 2021, 2022, some of 23, it was free-for-all, crazy frenzy, records getting set left and right. And it still happens. It still happens on occasion on the right car. And if it's a very particular, like this is an irreplaceable thing, then the sky's the limit. But a Gullwing that's not original colors, as nice as it is, there's plenty of Gullwings being offered for sale. There's just people aren't going to fight over something like that, like they would a prototype Ford GT or probably the nicest green 67 GT500 on the planet, right?
Right.
So that's sort of what I'm seeing more with the auctions. The nice thing about Barry Jackson is everything no reserve, so stuff can be a deal, so stuff can sell for a lot. But at the other auctions, that's what I'm noticing where if they have a reserve on it and it's just not something that makes the car exceptional in one way or another, they just don't sell.
Yep. And there's another interesting thing here, and I think you guys might not see it as much, or because of the volume you guys do, it's not as noticeable. But also, it's very noticeable on something like a 300 SL Gullwing. It's when and I didn't come up with this term, but it's when a car is so-called hoard around. It's like, well, that car was just at Bonham's 2 years ago, or people remember cars like that. Like those cars have to be dormant for, I want to say 10 plus years for anybody to be like, oh, I know that one. Like it's got to, like for some reason, it's just the way the car industry is. Like if a car was at this auction
except for
last
the
year,
Eldorado.
like yeah,
I was about to say
apparently,
that one.
Apparently, you can whore that one around very successfully.
Oh, that's
$5
why I never imagined $50,000.
No one could have seen that coming.
No,
and who knew what was going on there?
No, that's not your fault.
Because where were those two guys when you were selling it?
Right.
That was not your fault.
It's not like those guys weren't in the market weeks later. But anyway, there's a little bit of that, especially in the pre-war scene, because of the way, like I said, the scarcity of all this stuff. And not that the Gullwing is pre-war, but classic.
Right.
You remember significant classic cars, and it's like I said, it doesn't matter which auction it is. Broad Arrow, if something was that was at Broad Arrow 2 years ago, and you can watch these guys that are actually buying the cars that I've gotten to know a lot of them from being around here. They'll look at that car and go, I remember it from this auction at this place this many years ago. This is what's going on with it. This is the person who owned it, and this is what's this is why I won't take it. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know any of that. But these guys that do it for a living, more or less, They do.
Well, the rarer it gets, I imagine the higher light that's
exactly.
shined on it, and that just kind of makes it so people know more.
Generally, you know, it would be like if Tyler had no idea what a 300 SL was and was like, I don't know, I guess I'll pay this. You're not making an uneducated purchase at that level. Right. You are making an uneducated purchase on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, there were 3-4 years ago.
All the time.
And I remember one of the Amelia Islands when I was still judging, and we picked a Jaguar XJ220 for the class winner, and we went and gave it to the owner. The owner was a doctor, maybe a few years older than me, pretty close to the same age. And I was like, so what made you want to get an XJ220? And he started telling me this story about like asking people what he should get, and then talked about like how exciting it was to send somebody to France to go look at this thing. Like he didn't go look at it in person, and then like it was just like, I want to get a fancy car. Go tell me to go buy it, and so that's what that was.
It's wild.
And the world's definitely changed from that a few years ago.
But you'd be surprised. There was a guy we took a tour of, and I've like I said, we won't mention anything. And he was talking. He had, but I would still say, it still might be the best collection I've ever seen in real life. And it was one of the ones you couldn't take pictures of, and he was freaking out about us even taking pictures outside of it. And I don't know. It was a little unnecessary of his concern, to be honest, because you can't just hop in any of these cars. You have to know how to start. They're funny. I mean, look about your Packard. It's not you don't get in it and fire it up. You got to know what to do. Like you can't just start these things. Anyway, so I thought the concern was a little unfounded, but he had crazy cars, and he was going on about how this car and that car, blah, 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 blah. And you honestly would think, well, he's been a car enthusiast his whole life. He was not a young man. He was 63 maybe. And he had this question at the end of it, which I was like so amazed at this whole tour. And he just kind of goes, how long do you guys think I've been into cars for? And he like was like, I was like, I don't know, your whole life. I mean, you must have been to have this kind of this level of significance. I mean, I'm talking over 100 cars. And like he had Amelia Earhart's Cord documented. Wow. Pictures of it. I mean, it was like, where did you get, it's unbelievable. And he said some snot, and he went around and everyone's like, 30 plus years, obviously, because you know about these cars. And he goes, maybe the last 5-10 years or so. And we're like, what? And he had the same answer. He goes, I just asked all my buddies, what is it? What's the it car? And I would just buy it. And I was like, God, what? I was like, you don't even like these that much?
Oh, that hurts.
I was like, I know. I was like, you. Oh, it took the wind out of my sails. I was like, oh, you've cultivated your life's collection because of all. And then he's like, nah, I asked my buddies what they liked, and then I just bought it because I could, and they couldn't. I was like, oh, for me,
cars were seen as investments, and at that point, and it was just kind of like, what other thing can I put money into?
And I think that's why we are able to do what we can do, because part of our job is, what's cool about this? Why should I care about it? Yeah. Tell me real quick. And we can do that because we like them and care about them.
Well, sure. I mean, I think if I was to go to that, I think I would be let down significantly.
It hurt my heart to know that this guy was like, I basically bought these two. Because one of the stories he had was this nicest XKE on the planet was like, I only bought that because somebody in the room told me that somebody from Jaguar Corporate was trying to buy it to put it in their museum, and I didn't want them to have it, so I bought it. And I was
sorry for the people listening. It was Frank.
Yeah. And I just like when I heard that story, I was like, that's a little odd. I was like, you just specifically didn't want Jaguar to have it because it's too perfect?
Well, it just takes the whole air out of the whole thing, because you're like, there's no like emotion tied to it. And I believe cars like that have to have emotion.
They do.
They really do. You have to, I want to feel the owner as well, to be like how proud he is to have it, the history, the story. But if some guy's like, I sent a guy to get that and he won it. That's awesome.
Especially for the XJ220, which is like, I grew up having that same kind of model that's up in the April's Garage studio. I was like, I have that in silver. I probably still have it. I'm like, even before I knew what it was, I was like, this is the coolest car. I mean, heck, I rode to Dallas with you just to go see one in person. Remember the first time I went to Monterey was like, I literally said, it was like, if I see an XJ220 here, I'll think this is the coolest place on the planet. And night one, we saw one there, and I was like, well, now I don't know what to do with the rest. And like, because that's how much like that car is. And to hear somebody just go, I asked around and then said, that's crazy. But I mean, but that's also what makes you getting the SL that much cooler, because it is something you've dreamed of your entire life. It's just full circle. You already made a whole video on that.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But yeah, this is
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I'm watching that Sierra Denali Quadra steer on Cars and Bits.
Oh yeah.
What's it at 6 now? 68.
Well, how many miles?
68?
I did. I forgot.
160,000.
He did a
See,
video.
I'm watching
Okay.
it too. You're not the only one. I was watching.
It's gonna get my nose rubbed in it, and I already hate.
Could you imagine if I outbid Tyler?
Because
on
Elliot
that?
used to have one. We
I
first
used to have
had
one.
previous
Oh my God.
podcast.
I
Yeah.
had one. I had one in
You
mine
did
was
have one,
lower
yeah.
mileage. Yeah, that was the one that because it's the dumbest trade of all time. I traded a quadra-steer Denali for an RX-8.
So I'm looking at I'm looking around the room. Like, as far as my cars go, like most of them are auction cars. Most of them are. It's because the Grand Nationals, Barrett Jackson, the Grand Caminos bring a trailer. The XLRV is online dealer auction. Lincoln, Cars and Bids. Escalade, bring a trailer ish. The Packard was an estate. The Maybach, Barrett Jackson. 46 Chrysler, Mecum. This was a viewer emailing me, the Ford. So
A lot of these.
I'm almost done. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
The Fury
It's
is
got a few.
Bring a trailer. The Clown Shoe is a viewer. The Aston was Ed and Freddie selling it to me.
that was an auction.
That
car.
was definitely an
Barrett
auction car.
Jackson, bring a trailer for the Sinatra SLR.
80%. 80%
So
of your
almost all of
cars.
them are auction cars. How about that?
The previous owner of the Sinatra still regularly tells me to tell you that he has the umbrella and all this other stuff that goes with it if you want.
He
it.
was so mad at me. He
I
ran
know
off in
he
a
was.
huff.
He's
So-
still, but I think you should be happy you still have it. You didn't flip it.
I didn't flip it.
What?
I'm about to sell it. Probably Barrett Jackson though.
He's in my Facebook group and everything. He's like, because he said something like, I'm hoping to sell this thing. I'm wanting this much, and then I get this message, blah blah blah. I'm so furious. I thought it was going to go for this much, and then Tyler's like, look what I got, and I was like, oh no, because I was like, I'm not going to be the go-between between
Right.
these two people. But
So,
I'm probably
no.
going to sell it at Barrett Jackson though. I'm thinking about putting a few cars in, and I'm thinking
You
that might
should.
be one of them.
at
Yeah,
fall or
Yeah.
Ohio.
fall.
Okay.
So none of these are Facebook Marketplace. I'm the only
So
one that
shocker.
shops. You don't. Are you too good for that? Like you don't want to. Like, you don't want.
He
how-
referred me a Facebook Marketplace car years ago.
Well, of course he'll do that.
I'm just saying. Yeah, the
I did?
Z4 was a Facebook
Oh,
Marketplace
yeah,
car.
yeah.
And you just sent me a link, and I think it was really late at night. You go, offer this guy $5,000 or something like that. And it was like,
Yeah.
okay.
When you got it,
I did.
you almost died at it.
I got my
Yeah.
GMC Cyclone from Marketplace.
Okay.
So I've gotten
Yes,
some things.
Something, but
Yeah.
my God, none of these.
Yeah.
But you know what,
Wow, I'm
Rob?
doing
That
it
means
wrong.
all the more pickings for you.
Well, that's true.
And it's, you know what, man? Imagine if Facebook Marketplace opened up at like an auction type deal.
I mean, I'm trying to think of my collection now, and it's literally
It's
all
Marketplace,
Facebook Marketplace,
Marketplace,
and
All
Marketplace.
just
Lauer.
lowballing
Or
and annoying the
Lauer at
crap out of
auction.
people.
You bought a
That's it.
NASCAR off of Facebook
Yeah,
Marketplace?
NASCAR off of
Well,
it.
you say you got them from Lauer, but Lauer got them at auction, and
Right.
you were there at the auction
Yeah.
to
So-
see them. So
well, no, the BMW not so much.
Okay.
He got it at auction, couldn't sell it. Then I bought it.
gotcha.
So,
But they were both. I remember when they ran through. I was
yeah,
there
they got run through.
All right. Well, speaking of Rob, so next week, what are you doing?
I am doing kit cars. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the deadly. I think it's going to be basically me giving a good kind of once over on the history of some of the early kit cars, ones that kind of you know about. There's some ones that I didn't know about that
So
are
we're
insane.
talking replicas.
Replicas, yes.
Of exotics.
The
Okay.
kit car world and basically how we perceive it to each other, because I know that we all have different views on what we think of kit cars. There's some that we think are amazing. I know of some people that have ones that are unbelievably done and people fawn all over them. And then there's those kit cars that we know about that you'll see at a car show that you see some guy that's standing by it so proud, and someone walks up and they're like, is that a Ferrari 308? And he's like, well, it's a Fiero. And then the guy is like, oh, and walks away. And you can just see that guy going, and
I'm
so
not
I want
allowed
to get
to-
into that a little bit. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why do we buy those? You know, and talk about some of the ones that are rare and exciting.
I'm
fair,
not allowed
we
to
don't
own one
buy them.
anymore, actually,
Yeah.
because it makes April visibly ill.
kit cars make her ill?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. They
Like
just
all
do-
of
they just
them?
do.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, all
we're
of
not
them,
gonna.
yeah.
We're gonna talk like she's not sitting over there.
She's sitting over there, but
I know, but let's find out
yeah.
why. I want to know.
She makes gagging. Yeah.
Even like if it's like a Super Performance Cobra or a Backdraft.
Yeah, doesn't matter how nice it is. Every time.
That's
Not on TV, obviously, Barrett Jackson,
no,
but,
I hope not.
it's
Yeah, I was
inside.
gonna say, like,
inside, I think.
wow, that one went for $25,000. What happened?
She can't even
Let
say
me tell you what
backdraft. She's
happened.
like, right here is a,
yeah.
it's a, I can't.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, listening. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We do have a Patreon below that you can click on and join to support our storytellers here.
There we
Hopefully you enjoyed this off the cuff, and we're ending with what a monstrosity there. With
That's
a
what we're
horrible
Jake's going to be able to find
montage.
better
Yeah,
pictures than
Jake's
Rob
gonna
will.
be excited about this next week.
Yes.
There's a lot of good ones in
It's
here.
gonna be
You know
rough.
what? There's some
I'm gonna-
valuable ones.
I'm going to talk you both into the world of kit cars in April too. I hope I can change her mind.
Bye bye. You won't.
Bye-bye. I won't.